Hey, welcome to Clarksville Vibe the show where we tell the stories about people here in Clarksville, Tennessee who make this place the greatest place to live in America. I'm your host, Kevin Kennedy Jr., a lifelong Clarksvillian. I get to practice pediatric dentistry here in town, and I get to have the special privilege of bringing people to you who are doing cool things all across our community from every sector. And we're in the middle of this great theme of really talking about our local sports environment where kids and youth have opportunities to achieve their highest potential, talking to the experts in different sports and figuring out, number one, what are the stories and opportunities available to kids, but also equipping parents. I'm in this same stage. Some of this is therapy for myself as I'm raising a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old at home right now, launching them into their kind of athletic journey and trying to figure out how much do I want to push them, getting all the tips and tricks from the experts that we have in town. Today's guest is somebody I'm really excited to chat with. He is the head golf pro at Clarksville Country Club, Drew Miller. He's a Clarksvillian, has been here for several years and now has a really cool opportunity of influencing the local golf community, which has such a rich tradition in our local Clarksville community. So I'm excited to hear him more. Drew, thanks so much.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, man, this is fun.
Yeah.
Admittedly, I'm not a golfer.
Right.
So I grew up on a horse farm.
Nice.
And my Saturdays were, out hauling hay and things like that. My dad's not a golfer. And even though I'm a dentist, I get asked, that's probably the question I get asked the most. Number one, do I get a military discount?
Yeah.
And my haircut would say yes, and I always have to say no. Number two is like, do I golf? And, I don't really golf. No. But I have a lot of good friends who have played golf, learned how to golf here in this community, gone on to do great things. Obviously, we've got Austin P. That's got a good golf program, opportunities there. Got friends like Cleve Gwen, connected us.
Me and Cleve played together for 1 year at Austin P.
Oh, so, you did play together? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, hopefully you beat him up pretty bad. Yeah,
most of the time. I won't say it on air.
That's awesome. But what I do love is, even, players like yourself or Cleve, when you embed yourself into the local Clarksville community, there's still opportunities to play as an adult. Yeah. And so I want you to just kind of take an easy one right off the top. Yeah. Talk to us a little bit about what it was like growing up in the local golf community here, and how did that kind of give you a launch pad into adulthood?
I think I was holding a golf club when I was 2 years old, basically. So my grandparents got me my first set of clubs. And it's something that I fell in love with early. I started playing tournaments when I was 7.
Oh my gosh!
So it's been a huge part of my life.
That's awesome. And you played other sports too, right?
Yes, I played baseball, basketball. My dad was a football coach. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Where was he a football coach?
Clarksville Academy.
Okay.
And then Rossview.
Yeah.
That's
awesome. And so I'm assuming baseball is like Clarksville Nationals.
Clarksville Nationals. Okay.
Yeah.
Played that for a few years. I think I decided to switch over to golf when I was 12.
Okay.
So that was a tough decision, but I felt like golf was what I loved the most.
Yeah.
And could have
I do think that that's an interesting point, and that's something that I feel like a lot of parents are struggling with now is, okay, I think everyone understands that kindergarten through third grader, fourth grader, it's like, let them try everything and figure out what they like, right? But you do get to that 10, 11, 12 stage, and sometimes it's the kid makes it very apparent of, hey, I have a preference toward this. This is really my passion. I enjoy this, or maybe I'm most talented at this. And sometimes I feel like the parents kind of take the reins of the conversation and then steer a kid that way.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to get into that more, but I do want to hear a little bit about the country club, right? Okay. Because I'm sure that was part of your story growing up some, and then now you get to have this cool job as head golf pro.
It's pretty surreal to have the job that I have now. I don't know. I always aspired to be a professional golfer. Yeah. I felt like I had the talent, the ability. I had such a good junior golf career, but that was pretty much it. Nothing really transpired, after my college career. So having this opportunity to kind of give back, the knowledge that I possess of the game, to help, the younger generation and grow the game, I feel like, I'm very proud to be in this position. Yeah. So,
all right. So I'm going to be a dummy, right? Head golf pro.
Yeah.
To me, if I'm looking on the outside in and I've not played a round of golf in multiple decades, like what does your day-to-day look like?
It's kind of hard to explain when I tell people what my title is.
Yeah.
What do you do? So I'm like a lot of different things. Run the day-to-day operations, manage the pro shop, manage the the play out there. have relationships with members. It's good to build that rapport. Retail sales over there, give golf lessons. That's, teaching the game.
Yeah.
Having, running tournaments out there, junior golf clinics, ladies clinics, just a lot of different things. Yeah. So
how do you, in terms of the country club, kind of where it stands now, do you feel like there's, lots of opportunity for new people who are joining our community to kind of come and establish themselves?
Yeah.
Or is it just kind of the people who grew up there?
No. So I've been there for 7 years.
Okay.
Yeah. I started off as the assistant pro in 2017 and worked under Jeff Vaughn.
Okay.
So I learned quite a bit from him. He's helped me over the few years and kind of set me up for this position. But yeah, I've seen over the past few years that, we've gained a lot of new members that are new to the community. Yeah. They're moving in from all over the place.
Right.
So,
yeah,
I'm sure you've seen it as well. It's,
as a dentist, you usually, pick out your doctor or your dentist, your first 6 months or so. But I would say for a golfer, if somebody that really wants to play consistently, country club's obviously at the top of the list of places to play.
Obviously, you probably think I have a biased opinion, but it's the most challenging course in the area.
Okay.
By far, in my opinion, and it provides the best test if you're really looking to improve your game.
Yeah.
So,
do you find that a lot of youth, when do kids start playing your course?
Oh, so we have lots of kids out there right now, and that's one of my main goals is to continue to grow the youth program out at the country club and Clarksville in general.
Mm-hmm.
But, around 8, 9, 10,
mm-hmm.
I have some as young as 7 that I'll take out on the course just to play a few holes. Get them exposed to learning how to play the game, because that's where, they learn the best, in my opinion, is out there actually, playing and learning the different rules and everything.
So that's interesting to me. So, a parent of let's say a 7-year-old, 8-year-old, maybe like really kind of early in that actually being able to play the course and put a couple holes together is what I would expect. What are the things that are challenging to teach that age group?
There's a lot with golf, but what I would say is if you have a kid who's interested in playing the game, just let them go out there, get them a club. U.S. Kids Golf offers, different options for kids. You can get them measured, get the right equipment for them, and then find an instructor if they're serious about it to get them on the right path. Because with golf, you can develop so many bad habits early on that would stick with you for a while. So
yeah, that's interesting. We had a previous episode with Terry Boykin, who's kind of a legend in our basketball community, right? And he kind of said the same thing about that age group he said, if I can really get them young and teach them the footwork at that 3rd, 4th grade level, you would think that what he was saying is so hard to undo bad habits.
Yes.
And
it is. It is. With golf especially, there's so many different moving parts, and I try and minimize that and make it as simple as possible. And each kid is different. Like when they're 6 or 7, I want to get, the right fundamentals, the grip, the stance, posture, and then just give them the basics of the swing, but let them hit the ball and have fun. Because that's like, if I'm telling them to do this and this and this, they're done.
Right.
Yes. So, really letting them kind of swing their own swing, because each kid is different, and each kid retains information differently. So it's important for me to just let them have fun. Engage them in different little contests or games or something to keep them motivated and wanting to come back.
That's cool.
So,
because I'm looking at it, once again, non-golfer. I'm like, man, how do you keep that 7-year-old engaged when that pin is 400 yards away and they're hitting it at 40 yards a clip? It's 10 shots to get there or something.
And, back to your question earlier about, what I can teach them on the golf course. It's just kind of you start at the tee box, tee it up with your driver, then help them decide what club to use, and hit it in the right direction, aim up correctly, just the basics. When you're on the golf course, you get so many different lies too, and it's, instead of standing on the range on a flat surface and just hitting balls, you get exposed to so many different aspects of the game.
So that's kind of an opportunity that you're getting, is going with kids sometimes as you go.
And you can teach them.
Yeah.
I find that, the best teaching opportunity, because kids don't know how to play certain shots
Sure.
or don't know what to do in certain situations. And I feel like that's the most valuable.
Yeah. When do you feel like some of the fundamentals really start to click and like where maybe they start to ask the right questions? You know, because I would think a lot of teaching in that elementary school age is, you know, do this, here's what to do, teaching them the basics. And then the next action is like them getting engaged enough to start asking good questions.
And that's what I try to engage them even at a young age, even if I don't feel like they're truly ready to do it yet. I still try to get them involved and just try to get them participating in conversation with me. Yeah. I'll ask them questions. I'm like, there's no right or wrong answer. Just tell me what you think. And we'll, you know, and then we'll go from there. And but once they kind of get it, I mean, I can kind of see it when they're really focused and like got the grip down. I don't have to tell them every single time or the stance, you know. I don't know. Every kid's different. Yeah. So it's hard to really kind of pinpoint.
Yeah.
Specifically.
And I would assume some of your kids, as they start to really play the course, then they maybe get curious about other courses or, you know, have other opportunities to play.
Here in Clarksville, it's been around for a while, the Clarksville Junior Golf Tour. Okay. That's where I started. And what's so great about it is they have 3-hole divisions, 6 holes, 9 holes. So whatever level of golfer, you know, your kid is, if they're just new to the game, it's a good opportunity for them to go out there, learn the game, compete against other, you know, kids. But the main thing is just teaching them how to play the game at such a young age, and no pressure. I mean, you can be a beginner. So
that's cool.
That's where I started.
So is this like something that's independent of the city and the county, or is it operated through the government?
So Sally Peterson and her husband started it, and it's been around for a little while. So what they do, they play at Swan Lake, Clarksville Country Club, the River Club, and then Swan Lake again. So it gives the kids opportunities to play multiple courses for a minimal cost too. Yeah. And there's so many volunteers that have played in it, you know, in the past, that go out there and help and kind of teach the kids.
Sure. And I would assume that kind of introduces to some of the younger kids the idea of competition. It does. You know, putting a little pressure on, you know, maybe it's not from the adults on the kids, but the kids putting it on themselves. Oh, I'm 1 shot ahead. I'm 2 shots back, or whatever it is.
For sure. You know, it kind of instills that competition at a young age. And I think that's great and what we need.
Yeah. What are you telling, let's say, a 13-year-old kid who's in the middle of this, you know, thing? They're kind of at that awkward social stage, but like really trying to assert themselves. Like, because I would assume so much of golf, you feel like you're on an island, right? You're in the middle of this competition. You've got people watching you. There's not like a team that's getting you, right? Yeah. It's just you on you. And if they're feeling that tension, that nervousness, how are you coaching their mental aspect of it?
You know, I feel like with golf, that's why it's so much different than any other sport. I mean, you're on your own out there. Yeah. And I feel like that's where it kind of ties in with life lessons as well, like overcoming different obstacles you get presented and on the golf course can relate to, you know, just everyday life. Yeah. So just telling that kid basically, you know, to stay confident in yourself, stay committed to what you're doing. Just don't quit. I mean, just have fun, but continue to do what you know how to do, and just give it your best. Like, I mean, that's all you can ask for.
Yeah. So what's the hardest thing to coach? Like overcoming a bad shot or a bad day, a bad season?
I had that problem when I was young, and every kid does. Yeah. Like I expected so much out of myself, and I put pressure on myself.
Oh yeah.
And everybody does it. But I mean, just overcoming the bad shots, that was probably the hardest part for me to really learn and overcome. For example, one tournament, I think I was 13 or 14. I shot 89 the first day. It was by far my worst round ever. And, you know, I tried every single hole. I never gave up. But it was just like in golf, it can be so frustrating. And everything just went wrong that could possibly go wrong and just escalated. And the next day I come back and shoot 69. And everybody's like, what in the world?
Where was that kid yesterday?
Yeah. So, I mean, just things like that. Like I didn't give up. And I think that's what you can just tell kids is just, you know, keep trying, because you never know, you know, what can happen, especially in golf. Like, just keep going.
Yeah. How do you feel, when parents are kind of coming alongside of you as a coach, right? Because that's every sport deals with that, whether it's the basketball player and, mom or dad's on the sideline coaching the free throw, but coach is on the bench. You as a golf coach, you're, kind of teaching them some things from your professional training, from your professional experience. And then, you got dad who probably is a good golfer, got some good knowledge, but it's coming alongside you too. What's that role like from coach to parent?
Yeah, sure. So my dad, I was in that position as well, and he would be in there with me when I was getting a lesson, and he would be taking notes. Like, he knew about golf, but he was more of a, football, basketball guy, but he wanted to do everything he could to help me, He didn't push me, or he didn't.
Sure.
Like after we left the lesson, I would go practice on my own, but he would just be there for support, and let me know, hey, are you still working on that, or how's it going, with whatever change was implemented. So I feel like that's the most important thing, is just having a good relationship, like with the parent, and vice versa, and just ask questions to the instructor, like what do we need to look for, how can we help them, in between lessons when they're practicing. And I try and tell the parent what they can do, and almost give the kid homework, here's what they need to work on. I don't care if they're even hitting balls, just do the move at home. You don't have to go out on the range and do it. Just spend a little bit of time, and it'll make a world of difference.
So in the months where, and this may be a bad question, but I would say in the months where golf is the easiest to play around here, like weather's pretty good or something like that, when do you feel like kind of along an athlete's journey in these years, like it starts to become more important to have a really consistent routine of playing?
The spring is really kind of when golf ramps up, here in Tennessee. It's mostly weather dependent. But the wintertime is the best time to make a change, or really kind of learn the game, I would say, or work on your golf swing. Because like I said, you don't have to be hitting balls to make changes to your golf swing. So just doing the basics, and there's a lot of information out there, on the golf swing, and it can be overwhelming. So it just...
Do you find a lot of bad info?
Oh, yeah. Because a lot of people are like, I watched this YouTube video. I'm like, that's you didn't need to watch that one.
That's hilarious, because what's so funny is every industry, my buddy who's a financial planner, friend who's a tax guy, like you go down these rabbit holes of these content creators, just people giving advice online. Dentistry's the same way. And I'll read it. I'm like, it's not just blatantly false, but it's missing so much context. See, like you've made a 20-minute topic and you've put it into 20 seconds and it's just so misleading. And I don't know that I can really take you to the next level with
that. Because not everything applies to each person. Like there's so much out there that's teaching one thing. And like I said, it's not applicable to every single person. Like everybody swings different. Everybody's built different. So you can't teach the same exact thing to every single person. And that's why, like I said, the wintertime is a good time to make swing changes if you know exactly what you want to work on.
Okay, cool.
And that way you're kind of ready to go in the spring, and it's not feeling super weird when you're going out there playing. So...
Well, I'm take it back to that kind of local golf circuit you mentioned. They get to play at Swan Lake and some different places. So in terms of available facilities that our community has and kind of where they're located, if you kind of said from a high level, it's like, man, if we could get one of this or two, this is really what our community is missing to where, our kids could have a kind of a full experience.
I feel like we have pretty good facilities here in Clarksville. Out at the country club specifically, I have a junior golf camp every single year. It's open to members and non-members, and it's grown quite a bit over the past few years. And what I try and do...
You do that in the summer?
In the summer,
Cool.
So June to middle of July.
Okay. And it's like one day a week, or it's...
It's twice a week.
Twice a week, okay.
For like 4 or 5 weeks.
Oh, cool.
So, I'll teach them all aspects of the game, have some competitions.
What age range?
6 to 11.
Okay.
And it's mainly for beginners. So that's a great starting point if your kid's thinking about getting involved in golf, like a junior golf camp around other kids that are new to the game, like make them feel comfortable. just have some fun, let them hit some water balloons, just something
Not
fun.
Getting humiliated.
Exactly.
Like I was when I showed up at dental school and my friends were like, you want to come play golf? I'm like, I'll try.
Yeah.
The worst decision ever.
Yeah. I'll still try and implement some individual competitions within the golf camp after a few lessons, and they're comfortable and they've picked it up.
That's awesome.
So, and they have fun with it. But yeah, and we have a student membership too out at the country club.
Okay.
I mean, we have a bunch of kids out there that come out there and just
play regularly.
Hit balls, like, and that's great.
Yeah.
If they're out there wanting to work on it by themselves and, and hold themselves accountable.
Yeah.
So
what do you think makes the country club's course unique? Or if you had
just
to
the
say,
hills,
Okay.
up and down, like the slope on it is.
Okay.
I mean, you don't have a flat lie on the golf course. I mean, it's up and down.
Okay.
So I think we have 2 holes that you actually have a flat
Was
lie.
it designed that way, or is it just kind of like,
It's probably just the
cheapest way to put the golf course
terrain.
together?
Yeah. I mean, it's just how it was. I
Okay.
think. So
When did they build it? Do you know?
I'm not exactly sure the date.
Yeah, I don't know either. I just feel like it's been there my whole life, at least as far as long as I can know that my friends were playing golf.
Yeah.
Of course, they were over there.
Yeah.
I grew up in the St. B area, went to Rossview schools. So a lot of my friends were Swan Lake kids, you know, and they'd go to the pool, and then they'd go play golf, and, we'd go to St. B Little League and play baseball at night. Those were our summers.
And I grew up playing at Eastland Green. I didn't grow up playing at the country club. But I actually worked there in high school as a cart boy.
Okay.
For Jim Shack. So it's kind of crazy, how things work out and work full circle. Now I'm the head pro at the country club. It's just kind of funny how that all works out. But
life will take you crazy places.
It does.
And, it is a truism of life that relationships tend to be the most important thing. And it's funny how I played Little League baseball with so-and-so, and now he's an electrician, and I had a random need, and I called you. I hadn't talked to you in 25 years, but there's a little bit of a relationship where it does matter, and I need your help. And it just, relationships matter. It seems like the local golf community, as an outsider, admittedly, I've always been a little jealous of the relationships. Cause like, man, I'll never enter that circle, cause I'll never be the golfer. Like I'll never enter the, the random tournament or this or that. It just, and I won't be able to share those experiences. Similar to duck hunting or similar to other, hobbies or recreation sports. But the relationships just seem so strong.
And that's such a big part of golf is the relationships. I mean, that's almost what it's all about. I mean, it's a game you can play your entire life, and that's why it's never too late to start learning the game.
Do you remember anybody from your childhood that you looked up to and was like, oh man, if I can ever beat this guy?
Ryan Fisher. James Brandon. Those were guys that I pretty much idolized when I was a young kid, and they were winning all the tournaments and stuff. And
I remember that. I'm right in the middle of James and John, his older brother, and of course, Dr. Brandon is a very legendary dentist in our dental community. And so we were around the same age and went to church with them. But I did see them achieve a different level of success than I felt like I had noticed even in the 5 or so years prior to them. I think both of them went on to play at Tennessee Knoxville. But they came out of this local community. And following that, I feel like I've just noticed there's been a steady stream of golfers that have really achieved some high level success. Taylor Cooper was a girls golfer around my age, and I think she won a state championship or 2. Patton Samuels is more of a recent success story and is obviously playing at Austin P now. So I feel like the talent in Clarksville really has unlimited potential. And I don't think we could say that about all sports, meaning like you can really pick it up, learn how to play in this community, and you can win a state championship in this sport.
I feel like it has had a very consistent, just golfer success. Very consistent success throughout the years. There's always 1 or 2 really good players in the area. Like you said, most recently Patton Samuels, who's back at Austin P now. So get to see him quite a bit practicing.
Did you get to see him kind of grow up?
I did,
a golfer?
Yes. I saw that when I was working at when I started off at the country club as an assistant. He's playing in all the local tournaments.
What do you think made him special? Because I remember Patton, not that we didn't know we just started talking about Patton, but I remember Patton as let's say 6th, 7th grade kid,
Yeah.
you know, playing baseball. His older brother had played some baseball. His dad was a really good baseball player. His dad was my baseball coach in high school. He played a little basketball, and then it kind of got to like 8th grade, and he was, you know, I remember talking to him like, I'm going to start focusing on golf.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, that's cool. Well, then he had crazy success in high school.
Yeah.
So what was it about his game that made him special?
I don't know. He's got a lot of talent, obviously, but his work ethic, I think. I mean, he puts in a lot of time, and really works on things specifically, not just out there. You know, he has a purpose every time he's practicing.
Sure.
So I think that, and just his confidence when he's out on the course. You know, I mean, that's a big part of it. Like with golf, I mean, you can go through phases where it'll get the best of you, and it did for me.
I'm just thrilled to see him be really, because he's in that age group of, you know, kids that I really got to watch grow up and play different sports, and you know, in his generation of athletes and community, he's had as much success as anybody, if not more. So I've been really excited for him.
Yes.
So you know, the Austin P program, you played there, right? Patton's there now. What do you feel like its role in the community is? Do they practice?
They do. They practice
club?
out at the country club quite a bit now. So that's nice having them out there. And then, you know, they can be role models for the youth that are out there. So I think that's pretty neat to have them.
Do they help out in your camps or anything like that?
If I ask them, they
will.
If they would.
They
would,
right?
They I could get a few of them too.
They probably need some of that camp money is what it is. That NIL money at Austin P is not as much as it might be somewhere else. So, you know, I know we've talked about a lot of things, but it's talking about parents, right? And I kind of want to move the conversation more towards, like, let's say that 8th to 12th grade year, you know, where kids maybe start driving on their own or they're riding with a teammate or things like that. You know, how much is the pressure on parents to then get them into a competitive environment or some opportunities to play outside of our community, right? Because that seems to be a pressure in other sports. Like in basketball, it's like, okay, if your team's good enough, you go start playing AAU in Kentucky and in Nashville and Chattanooga and Memphis. If your baseball team, these travel teams seem to be going all over the place. Well, at some point I would think, you know, a golfer's journey, if you really want to have some success, you need to be going and playing in tournaments, other places.
No doubt about it. I mean, if your child is showing growth in the game or interest and, you know, really dedicated to it, I mean, you have to go outside of the community. The SNEDS Junior Golf Tour, which was formerly the just Tennessee Junior Golf Tour, I played that. That's still obviously, you know, just state events, but outside the state, national events, the American Junior Golf Association, I played quite a few of those, and you get exposure to all different, you know, that's what college coaches really look at, is those national events.
Really? More so than your high school.
More so, I mean, a state championship will help.
Sure.
But you really get noticed with those.
That's interesting.
Bigger
that
events.
Tends to be like what I kind of hear about soccer and basketball a little bit. Is like, you know, you want to grow and you want to be a good teammate. And you want to contribute to your high school team, but you know, it kind of takes that different level of exposure.
It does.
So for a parent who's not familiar with any of this, how do they learn about, like, say their kid starts to be good, you know?
That's when I would reach out to, you know, somebody in the
like yourself.
Just somebody. I mean, you know, that could direct them in the right path, you know, and tell them what's out there, what's available, the junior tournaments that they need to be in, to get that necessary exposure.
Gotcha.
And I mean, you're exposed to a lot of competition too, you know, so it really helps out in your overall growth and development, you know, of the game. So,
well, recently in the community, and once again, this is me as an outsider looking in, it seems like saving a golfing tradition in our local community through city parks has been, you know, a really popular subject, right? From your perspective, you know, what would you say is the local government's role in, you know, consistently creating golf opportunities for kids and making it accessible to kids from all across the community?
I think that's the main part, is just making it accessible. Providing those opportunities for kids that, you know, may not have the chance to, you know, play golf or something, you know, just provide certain avenues that they can take and get involved in the game. And that's what I want to try and do, and just help get as many kids involved, in the game as possible.
Sure. So giving them the gift of something that they can enjoy long term.
Yeah, because everything's expensive. Golf can be expensive. Sure. All sports are expensive. So just when the kid's starting off, they don't have to have a whole lot. Just one golf club. That's all you need. Tennis shoes, just athletic wear, and just let's go swing.
Yeah, go have fun.
So,
well, and I think what's special about golf is I've got a friend, Corley family. A lot of people know the Corleys around here, but every year, Jeremy Corley gets to play a round of golf with, I think it's at least his dad and his son, and there may be one more generation that they play with. But it is a multi-generational game where you can experience it for a long time. I'm not going out to play baseball ever again. That's done forever for me. Basketball, there's an end date. Football, certainly there's an end date. Yeah. But golf, you can play. You can experience it.
Nobody's out there today. Yeah. But it's like,
well, this is our first cold day in November, 2024, and the wind is a little brisk. But
I'll say I was one of them when I was a kid. I was out there.
You were out there.
I didn't have many days I took off.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, random question. Yeah. This is just a fun one. 4-man scramble. Okay. You're the first person on the team. Okay. Who are you calling to be your other 3?
Oh gosh.
In a local tournament, right?
No, local?
Just local.
Okay. Just picking local guys?
Yeah. Just for fun.
Oh, goodness.
Don't
want to leave anybody out.
Your pause, well, it's just for fun. Your pause means that you're going to win regardless of who you pick. That's the confidence that I'm hearing in you.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't play much anymore.
Do you really not?
No.
Really? That's interesting.
I don't get to.
Yeah.
I'll hit a few balls in between lessons, but
yeah, that's fun.
We'll try and start playing in some.
I had the temptation a couple years ago. It's like, I see all these like charity golf tournaments or whatever. It's like, maybe I could be the guy that just puts together the winning team. Like I'll pay the fee to enter, and then I'll call these 4 people and like, okay, just go win that tournament. Yeah. I'm going to get to hold up the trophy. Yeah. Like I had something to do with it, and all I did was play.
I'll say Horace Heggie, number 1, just for he's got a good golf game, but just for the fun part of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. See, that's the info we need. Horace is good. Yeah. We don't care if we win, but we need him out there to have a good time.
I've given him a few lessons, so his game should be, in shape. But I don't know how much he's working on it.
He's not going to drag you down, but he's going to bring everybody's spirits
absolutely.
up.
Yeah, that's what you need in golf.
That's right. And to be fair, if you call Horace, he's probably already got the other 2 members lined up.
I could probably just leave that to him.
It's just one call, and it's done. That's awesome.
With him, yes.
It's like, I got 3 spots, but all I need is you. You show up, you bring your other 2, and Drew Miller carry it home for the championship.
I think that's who I would call first.
That's awesome. That's a great story. Well, man, Drew, this has been fun. Yeah. Thanks for the time. Thank you for staying committed to your hometown. Yeah. I think sometimes, yes, Clarksville is always a choice, but you also have a choice to go other places. Yeah. And golf is an important part of our community. Yeah. And it's been fun to watch people our age grow up and achieve great success. It's been really fun for me to watch young people achieve great success and be able to watch Patton Samuels from a distance. And I know that the next generation of golfers, there's still going to be some who are in the 7th grade right now. They're looking up at Patton as the superstar of like, oh, if I can just do what he does one day, then, and they're going to achieve the same, if not more. Yeah. And it's going to be because of people like you who are committed to the community and the country club for continuing to operate and for the River Club and for Swan Lake and the city and the county coming along and doing what they can do to continue to support it. But also parents, helping guide their kids and pushing them into new opportunities and being encouragers and trying to learn what's out there, how to just help kids achieve great success. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate
for what you do.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Well, if you made it to the end of this episode, thank you so much. I know you've heard a lot from Drew Miller, the head golf pro over here at the Clarksville Country Club. Lots of tips and tricks and stories about our local golf community. I hope this was helpful to you. If you know somebody who knows Drew, text him, tell him he did a great job, but also go out, play, learn something, give some kids some tips and tools that you feel like you may have picked up from the episode. If you know an aspiring golfer, we'd love to see our community continue to have a lot of success. Thanks so much for checking out us to the end of this episode. We'll see you on the next one.